I'm severe weather expert Dr. Greg Forbes here to give you an update on those tornado warnings that are in southeast Georgia, about 20 to 30 miles southwest of Savannah. There's been a tornado sighted at Fort Stewart with the lead of the eastern of the two storms there. These are supercell thunderstorms that are ahead of that line of thunderstorms that we've been following all afternoon across the Carolinas down into Georgia. So we'll take a look at these two tornado warnings. We're talking about Bryan, Chatham, and Effingham counties there. That storm is around the Fort Stewart area, moving northeast at about 35 miles per hour. You could see it's an individual storm. It has a little bit of a hook echo there on the southwest side of that, and tracking that forward in time could be coming up toward the Meldrum area about 5:39, the Bloomingdale area at about 5:47, away from the Fort Stewart area. Taking a look at the velocities, there is a green and red circulation with that particular storm, but on its heels, an even stronger circulation showing up south and east of the Glenville area there in Georgia with the second storm that is tornado warned. There you see that one there. We're talking about Liberty, Long, and Tatnall counties, with that one also going northeast at about 35 miles per hour. That one would be coming toward the Willie and the Pembroke areas. Willie about 5:40 p.m. So a couple of storms that we had a little bit of heating this afternoon, and still that 60-mile-per-hour low-level jet has tapped into the low-level wind shear to produce some rotating thunderstorms. We'll continue to keep you updated on this. Let's get out of Dave and Alex.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Forbes. You know, the challenge in parts of the plains is to get moving after the snow slam from Winter Storm Kayla.
We've got severe weather just like yesterday in Mississippi and Alabama. It has shifted about 300 miles east.
Yeah, Carolinas and Georgia, the spots to watch. Half past the hour here on Weather Center Live. I'm Alex Wilson.
I'm Dave Schwartz. We have a tornado warning in effect right now west of Savannah, Georgia. So let's turn things over to our severe weather expert for the latest, Dr. Greg Forbes.
Thanks, Dave. And we've been mostly watching a line of thunderstorms along a cold front today, but as usual, it's individualized storms that are ahead of the line that are causing the most trouble in terms of a tornado threat. There you see them. There's several storms in there. You can also see that wavy cold frontal line that I was talking about with lightning bolts blasting in that. We'll take a look at these storms here that are out ahead of the line first. There they are, off 20 to 30 miles to the west of Savannah. One more severe thunderstorm warning farther down to the south and west of that. And you can see that they're ahead of these line segments that are making up that cold front based line. There's one of them. It's beginning to get a little bit ragged, but you can see it, even though it's weak and not a real large or tall storm, you can see almost a semicircle there in its precipitation pattern. So that's a storm that right near the Fort Stewart area had a report of a tornado with that. And so Bryan, Chatham, and Effingham counties, as that storm moves northeast at about 35 miles per hour, parts of your counties are still under tornado warning. That's up toward the Meldrum area at about 5:40, and if it holds together, the Cold Brook, the Rincon areas at about 5:58, 6:03. Then we take a look at the velocities, and there's some green and red couplets showing up there with that. The green's northeast, the red southwest, but the storm on its heels, even a little bit easier to detect in terms of that tornado vortex signature right in that location. I'll leave those two circled and then ask, do we have any debris that is showing up? And certainly the lead storm, we're not seeing a debris signature. We don't see any blue hole that would suggest there's a lot of debris being picked up now by that tornado. Maybe there had been some, but most of this is in clear air. That's just noise. In here, right in the middle of the circle, it's red, so that's rain. We're not seeing anything that suggests there's a violently destructive tornado in progress. That second tornado warning is off east of Glenville right now in Georgia. Bryan, Liberty, and Long counties. It too moving northeast at about 35 miles per hour, and that would take it near Willie at about 5:39, Lanier about 5:58, Black Creek about 6:05. So just take shelter if you're in the path of these storms. We'll keep an eye on this one. It too is an individualized storm north of Alma in Georgia. Appling and Bacon counties, that's the second time you had a warning today. Earlier, it was a tornado warning. Can't totally rule out the fact that this storm might develop a little rotation as well. The broader picture and the rest of that, then, that wavy frontal line that I was talking about, no warnings on it at the moment, but wouldn't rule out a tree down here or there. It's coming right now into the Norfolk metro area. It's past I-95 there, east and south of the Emporia area. And this storm at one point had a severe thunderstorm or even a tornado warning on that little bow echo going to go north and east of the Orangeburg area. These storms are tapping once again today. Unseasonably warm temperatures way up in the 60s, these oranges and reds, 60s and 70s. Surface winds from the south. Winds aloft today have not really died down too much. They're 5,000 feet still, is about 60 miles per hour, so that gives enough turning for an isolated tornado, enough wind shear that we can occasionally get a damaging wind gust out of that. And so still ahead of that frontal zone, a chance here and there of a stray severe thunderstorm from southeast Virginia all the way down into the Florida Panhandle. At the moment, they're making their biggest concentration in southeast parts of Georgia. So Dave and Alex, we certainly aren't out of the woods yet, and some heavy rain with this tomorrow. That front may stall out in northern Florida with some heavy rain and probably a pretty low chance of a severe thunderstorm tomorrow. Dave, Alex?
All right, thank you so much for keeping us on top of it, Dr. Forbes. You know, earlier he was showing or tracking this storm, and we showed you this picture of a funnel cloud over Columbia, South Carolina. Now officials at the National Weather Service have confirmed an EF0 tornado in Pine Ridge, South Carolina, that is in Lexington County. It is one side of that trouble hitting parts of the south. And that rain extends all the way up the East Coast. We've had heavy rain, flooding, an issue this morning for your commute in Atlanta. There's video from that on the left. And right now you're looking at New York City, where the rain has been coming down, so that late day commute is soggy. There is a lot of traffic, according to Brian, our director. He's been my New York liaison.
Weather expert Dr. Greg Forbes. We still have 2 tornado warnings down in the areas west of Savannah, Georgia. We know one of them has produced a tornado. I've seen pictures of that. We know it had debris in the tornado, so we don't know what kind of damage it has caused. But those 2 in red there are the tornado warnings. Looks like the lead storm, the one that has caused the damage, may be weakening. You can see it getting a bit ragged there, and it's about ready to move out of the warning area. That warning was for parts of Bryan, Chatham, and Effingham counties. We'll see if the National Weather Service extends that warning. The track, it's right now would be close to the Eden area of Georgia, heading up toward Rincon, about 6:02, and taking a look at the velocities. The velocity has really weakened considerably on that. It's hard to see a real well-defined signature. What you can really see much better is the signature on the storm that's to follow. That's the next storm, the greens northeast bound, the reds southwest bound. So I'll leave those 2 circled and ask, do we have any debris showing up? Certainly not in the lead storm now. It's all reds. That's precipitation. But there are a couple of green specks, so I'm a little bit worried about the second storm maybe causing some damage. That is crossing a Highway 119 south of Pembroke, coming across Bryan, Liberty, and Long counties. And that would be tracking toward probably let me track that. It looks like it's taking a bit of a jog to the right, which would be consistent with rotating a little bit more strongly. And that would be coming toward the Lanier area there, about 6:02. So the Letford, the Lanier, the Bridgeton area, you need to be on the lookout for a possible tornado heading your way. And if it turns even more to the right, areas a little bit, even more to the south of that. Stay safe, everybody. And for a look a little bit longer into the future, here's Dave.
Thank you, Dr. Forbes. Here's a look at the big picture. There's the radar and the severe weather in southeast Georgia. You can see those little yellow and red spots. Those are the warnings. But this is all part of a cold front that is just barely sliding to the east coast right now. It has really slowed down since yesterday.
I'm severe weather expert Dr. Greg Forbes with an update. We still have a tornado warning in southeast Georgia, southwest of Savannah. We had 2. The lead one had a confirmed tornado with it at Fort Stewart. That one has weakened, but there's still a storm heading generally into the same area there, southwest of Savannah. So let's take a look at this particular one. There's the storm that previously hit the Fort Stewart area. That has gone, but now there's a new storm that's coming into that. You see it's angling more to the right. Bryan, Chatham, Effingham counties, you still have a tornado warning. You can see the hook echo on that one. And taking a look then at its path that it's taking. In fact, I'm going to redraw that a little bit. I think it's going a little bit farther to the right. Taking a track of this particular storm. You can see me do it while we're in progress there. Heading up toward Elabelle at about 6:07, the Eden area about 6:18. So dangerous storm there. Still pretty well-defined tornado vortex signature on this. Greens northbound, reds southbound. At one point, it had a pretty well-defined debris signature. That seems to have weakened a little bit. Let's hope that means that the tornado has also weakened. But stay safe. Seek shelter if you're in the path of this particular storm. Dave?
Thank you, Dr. Forbes. Well, from this storm, we've had 1 to 3 feet of snow from the Rockies out into the plains.
Welcome into Weather Underground, a busy Wednesday night of weather. Sarah Dillingham, Ryan Davidson will be along with us, as well as Carl Parker and Dr. Greg Forbes. I'm Mike Bettis, and let's show you what is on tap for this evening. We got night threat, we got cases on, and we have mosquito massacre. So first up, the night threat, heavy rain, storms, even tornado risk. We're going to show you who could still see some potentially damaging storms and flooding through the night tonight. Plus, the right track, the dramatic video of a tornado as it played out on the Weather Channel 24 hours ago. Tonight, the man that was behind the camera joins us in our weather cave to tell us about the huge tornado that he witnessed. And mosquito massacre. They're annoying pests. Boy, they can carry life-threatening diseases. But should we try to wipe out all of the mosquitoes? We discuss the consequences and reality behind getting rid of mosquitoes in our ecosystem. Diving deep into all those stories, but first up, joined by storm specialist Sarah Dillingham, talking about violent storms tonight. The southeast is the target.
Yeah, it is, Mike, and we knew that that severe threat was going to progress further off to the east, and we had a fairly quiet day overall, but we've really seen things get active here in the afternoon. I want to point out first, this line of storms associated with this cold front extends over 1,600 miles, all the way from the Gulf Coast and down into here. So right now, we want to take you right into southeast Georgia, where we have this new tornado warning. Now, this is a reissuance of a previous tornado warning that was here off to the west. We had one cell here. This one here is actually weakened and now is no more, but that one did produce a tornado earlier just to the west of Savannah. Actually, some pretty interesting photos there. But right now, we've got this new warning here for Bryan, Chatham, and Effingham counties till 6:30 local time.
It's getting close to Savannah now, and we're talking... Yes. Kind of tail end of rush hour here, so everyone needs to be on alert.
Yeah, they really do. So you can really see this coupling here just to south and east of Pembroke, and we've got that good rotation, those greens going towards the radar, reds coming away from the radar, so you get that counterclockwise circulation. That's the latest scan coming in, so that rotation is still holding pretty tight. We did have a debris signature with this earlier, so it appears there may be a little bit of something, but very difficult to tell if that is indeed a debris signature.
We're just looking for something other than those dark reds in there.
Right.
Usually looking for like greens or blues in there, right? So not
exactly
well-defined there, but maybe something.
Yeah, maybe something. So we definitely want to keep a watch on this. I'm going to switch this back over to the radar. Look, and we want to track this out because Point Wentworth, you are in the path here. These storms are moving off to the north and east at about 30 to 40 miles per hour. I'm going to time this out here. So Port Wentworth, expect this in your area. Potentially 6:30 there, 6:25, and by Hardyville by 6:40 tonight, Mike.
So our storms this evening are going toward the coastal states here, and do we believe that by tonight they'll be off the coast, or do we still have a threat through the night?
Yes, it appears that a lot of things are going to be off the coast here. Certainly, if we get a little bit of a better picture of the wide radar, let's take a look at that. So yes, you can see this like eastern North Carolina and eastern South Carolina. This line is going to continue to progress and move offshore, and so you should be clearing out by around midnight tonight. This should be out of your area, but we're still going to have to watch Florida into the overnight hours and into tomorrow afternoon. Tonight, not expecting a high severe threat here for Florida, but something to keep an eye on, especially in tomorrow as we get a little bit more heating there.
We saw quite a few tornadoes yesterday. We've seen some today. Does that risk go down as we go through tomorrow for Florida, or do you think there'll still be that risk?
I think it could go down for tomorrow. I don't think we're going to see anything increasing as we go into tomorrow afternoon. So I would say the tornado threat is probably at about where it is today. And again, we had Torcons 2 or less, so it was only 20% chance of seeing a tornado with any of these areas down here. So we did see these 2 tornadoes, and that was kind of what we saw today. That's what we expected.
And so for tonight, this is the risk, and then it moves off the coast here, and then as we work our way down through Florida,
yeah, and let's time this out.
Instead
of me talking about it, let's actually model it out here, see if we can get rid of that track there. There we go. So let's actually put this into motion and see what we're going to see this timing move out. So you see the timing here around 9 p.m. tonight, moving off the eastern coast of North Carolina, clearing out in South Carolina by around 3 to 4 in the morning. But notice those storms start to train back over the same areas as we go into tomorrow afternoon. So we actually could see a little bit of flooding impacts here in central Florida because they've already been inundated with rainfall for these several events that they've seen in the last several weeks.
It's been a rough go here the last couple of days, and we still have another day to go on all this. So watch it very, very closely. Sarah, thank you. You're going to be up to date on all the warnings tonight, so keep tuned here for those. But we know that a week from now could be... Let's get you an update on the radar. Strong line of storms here from the Delmarva all the way down through the Florida Panhandle. And some intense storms here, especially through Georgia. Let's zoom down in on one tornado-warned storm here. This is near Savannah, west of Savannah right now. Chatham and Effingham counties are currently under a tornado warning. That tornado warning, by the way, goes for about another 10 minutes or so. So I'm going to show you the high-resolution radar here, and you can see a real close view here. We don't have the well-defined hook echo that we once had on this. We'll go ahead and put the velocities on here, and I'll show you exactly what that looks like. See if we can see any rotation in this storm at all. Maybe some weak rotation in there, but working its way off to the north and east. If you live in a place like maybe Hardyville or Rincon, heads up here that a storm, a very potent storm, could be headed your way. We'll give you updates throughout the night as the weather warrants. Time now for It's Amazing Out There. We show off your photos each and every day here on the show. We couldn't resist this winter scene from Clear Lake, South Dakota. How about the sunset here with the abandoned farm building there in the foreground? Phil Anderson, you've done an absolutely tremendous job of capturing this photo in Clear Lake. Fantastic stuff. And by the way, if you want to check out more of our photos, you can do so on our Facebook page. And this is our picture, this segment coming up.
What photo
looks
did
like
they
the surface
catch?
of another planet, maybe, right? Well, winds from Winter Storm Kayla helped create something pretty spectacular in this shot. We're going to break it down for you when we picture this. All right, gang's all here, including Dr. Greg Forbes, Carl, and Sarah, as well as Ryan behind the bar to answer your questions tonight in our sounding off.
Lucky enough to have one of those multi-million-dollar condos. You get to see the sunshine.
Penthouse, you saw the sun.
The rest of us,
down here on the low levels.
peons, we see nothing.
And then after this happened, this morning you ended up getting a big old rainstorm. I mean, soaked in Atlanta.
It was howling.
Big old front moving through and just dousing the south, Alex.
So I'm sure Google Maps traffic was just lovely to look at this morning. Luckily for those folks who commuted.
Luckily for those of us that don't have to come in to the crack of dawn, we were in good shape, huh?
I don't even like doing that road, or doing that commute on a good morning.
No,
so
in dry weather, it's
on
terrible.
a morning like today, that downtown connector.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
The South still has some issues with the weather.
Still very active. And, Dr. Forbes was saying that, we've seen the active tornadoes even still this afternoon. We've seen a few storms out ahead of that front. We've still got that severe thunderstorm warning into parts of Georgia. So Dr. Greg Forbes has been working overtime today, too. There's that cold front. You can see those showers, those storms. They've been especially heavy, and they've been slow moving. So the problem is flooding concerns as well. We've got a flash flood watch here off to the north of 16 there. There's that severe warning still just west of Savannah, and Dr. Forbes is standing by, so he's going to talk more to you about the severe. But temperature-wise, temperatures have been near 60 still in Atlanta, but very warm across coastal sections of the Carolinas down into Florida, into the 70s there, low 50s for Nashville, mid 50s in Jackson. So what do the next 24 hours look like? Those showers beginning to push off into the coastal sections of the Carolinas, Georgia, also Florida. Then they're out of here for many by tomorrow morning, but still, coastal sections of the Carolinas could see them into the early afternoon.
Oh, my God.
I heard it coming. It's an eerie sound. Just about the time we got under a desk, the storm hit.
An intense day of tornadoes yesterday, quite a bit of damage. The fortunate thing is no reports of any significant injuries or fatalities. That's the good news there, but still some cleanup to do. Joined now by our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes. You say now preliminary 10 tornadoes from yesterday's event. Where does that put us now for the year?
Well, we're still below average, but the month of February is something like 4 times the average for the first 2 days as a consequence of this. There's been a couple more tornadoes reported today, so I think we're up a little bit higher than that. Perhaps, but we're about 38% below average for the year to date.
But February is now starting to catch up. I mean, it's early in February now, but we've already seen some
We'll see
catch up
hopefully
here.
a few days now that won't have tornadoes, but it's off to a
And
right start.
when you look at the spacing of tornadoes here, there's California, kind of sticks out like a sore thumb over there, but it's all southern states.
Yeah, the jet stream is way to the south. That's kind of characteristic of an El Nino year.